I've spoken a lot recently about the misguided idea that being a good manager means being a nice person. And this might lead you to do the opposite, to be direct, be honest, just tell it as it is. But I want to stop you there because it's more nuanced than that. I'm Dawn, and this is Have That Talk. Just be direct is not good advice. In fact, any advice that you receive that promises a simple solution, especially when it comes to humans in the workplace, is doing you a disservice. It's always more nuanced than that. Not because I'm sitting on the fence and I can't decide, but because I recognize that people, humans, are more complex than that. We have good days and bad days. We're going through a lot in life. There are different forces acting upon us from outside and from within. So dealing with that means understanding directness and clarity and kindness as being on a sliding scale. Every situation and every person may warrant a different kind of adjustment along that dial. And the problem with advice about just being direct is that it loses the contextual nuance that is required, and it also ignores the dynamics of what's going on inside you and inside the other person. If you struggle with directness, from a scarf perspective, you may be feeling that tension of not wanting to break the relationship. You want to maintain that sense of relatedness with that other person. At the same time, you also want to maintain your status. You want to come across as a good and effective manager. So these two tensions are fighting for dominance in your brain. Be a good manager, assertive, strong, confident, or be a kind manager, empathetic and sensitive to other people's needs. And the fact that you have to be both is something that makes your head explode. So that's what's happening inside you. And what's happening inside the other person. They've also got their threat response on high alert. And they're looking out for whether you're going to attack their sense of status, i.e., will you disrespect them, disregard their contribution, fail to acknowledge their effort? Or will you encroach on their territory, stifle their initiative, and step on their autonomy? This is what makes some hard conversations even harder. These conflicting emotions fighting for their place in your mind. So when you prepare for the conversation, these scarf elements are important to consider. The status, the certainty that you're giving the situation, the autonomy that you're allowing, the relatedness, and the fairness. On top of that, how have you nurtured this relationship in the past? Is it built on a good foundation? Do you need to repair some cracks that have emerged recently? That's the relational context. But also consider the situational context. What's the sense of urgency? Are you up against a deadline? What is at stake if you get it wrong? And who will bear the cost of that? I mean, if you're an airline pilot flying through a storm and your co-pilot just keeps questioning your decisions, how do you respond to that? Do you double down and tell them to shut up? Or do you listen and consider what they have to say? These are the kind of high-stakes situations where tone and relationships matter. You can't just ignore the input coming in from your co-pilot. You have to consider it within this context because they might have identified a blind spot that you can't see. And at the same time, you have to trust your own instincts as well. And between these two tensions lies the art of true leadership. Now, not every conversation in the workplace has this level of urgency and danger. But take this as an example and think about what's appropriate for your context. Of course, you should listen to your own instincts, but also allow input from outside. Hear what the other person has to say. See that in the context of the situation that you're both navigating and respond appropriately. If you need to be clear and decisive, then cut through the small talk. Get in there and say what you need. If you have more time to consider things, take a step back and perhaps reschedule the conversation when things have calmed down, when you've had a chance to reconsider your options. Either way, don't rely on just be direct. Don't think that just being honest is the only way to lead. Instead, be more thoughtful, more nuanced, and more understanding of the contextual situation when you go in to have that talk. Okay? I'll see you next time.